What's up, geeks and gamers? My name is Draymond, and welcome to Thorium Gaming. We're back with episode 32 of Light of the Azure. Our attempts to stabilize the Great Vortex and, basically hold the forces of chaos at bay. We are very, very close to being able to finish this off. So close to victory. And the other nations that can influence the Vortex aren't even up to their fourth ritual yet, which is kind of surprising, to be honest. Now, we're in a little bit of financial trouble here. We've been building up our forces a lot, and it's taking its toll, so we might have to pare down a few of our forces just to get that back into the green. Over in the northwest, we do have Grimaldus and Fady getting ready to take on possibly Naragond. It'd be awesome to do it, and they definitely have veteran troops, rank 7, rank 8, rank 9, a lot of really powerful soldiers. And Fady herself has actually leveled up, so while we're here, let's give her another rank of Deadeye. I found that the female archers for the Asur are incredibly lethal and highly mobile, and it's just beautiful to see. So, what we're going to end up doing, I don't really know for sure this episode. I mean, we've been mostly trying to build up and get ready for the next invasion, which is going to hit us like a truck. The last few, we've lost cities, we've barely held on. We had to sacrifice a few of our good generals to basically stave off the end of the world. Now, one thing that we could do is we could take the Altar of Ultimate Darkness right here. It is a ritual source site. Well, in addition to being everything else, it's one like all other cities. But it's also not got that tough of a defense overall. I mean, Blackheart Corsairs and Blackheart Corsairs with handbows are definitely nothing to, just discount. And it does have some Blackguard and Naragond in there, so it's iffy. It's something to consider for later. And apparently we have another general, Shinian. I think we're going to be doing the same thing, give her another rank of Deadeye, while we're thinking about it. But we've been slowly trying to work our way up the coast. We're going to probably take Thorium here. They can only hold out for a little bit longer, I think. 4 more turns. And Sunshine being there, along with Phoenix. I think it's Phoenix that's actually doing the assault. Yes, it is. So we're going to take Thorium. That'll give us the entire area of Yvres in friendly hands. Not necessarily ours, because Kothik's kind of friendly, I guess. But we really need to see about paring down some of our forces to get back into this. So, Latania, you've got a couple of units of Swordmasters. One of them alone would take you down to what we need, but let's get rid of both of them. Puts us back in the green, and we're happy. We haven't really had to worry about too much else. Now, you can see this glowing red aspect around the Shrine of Cain and this locked Shrine of Cain button. These are brand new with the Queen and the Crone. A lot of beautiful stuff came out with the DLC. I didn't think it was going to come into this playthrough, but apparently it has. So what are the things that have come in? Might as well talk about them before we get into the whole situation. Let's see if in the building browser and everything we actually have access to them, and we do. So we have access to the Handmaiden's Gallery, which gives us access to the new hero and a new unit, the Sisters of Avalorn. And with our infantry, we can get Shadow Warriors. These are incredible additions to the Azure forces. Shadow Warriors are they're the answer to the Shades. They are literally in the tabletop, they're the counterpart to the Dark Elf Shades. And for the High Elves, they're incredibly mobile archers. They're terrible in melee. That's kind of a theme with all of the units that we got for this. They're terrible in melee. Good luck getting them in melee. They're quick, they're mobile, they're exactly like the Shadow Warriors that you'd expect from the background, and they rock. Now the Sisters of Avalorn, they're just as good, though they're slightly different. They trade their mobility and their ability to shoot 360 that the Shadow Warriors have for increased range and magical ammunition. They do a ton of damage over a long distance. It's just beautiful to watch. And watching fancy glowing blue arrows hit something in a big wave and take out a third of a unit per volley is kind of incredible. And the Handmaidens, they're a new hero. They fit somewhere between a swordmaster, a noble, and a mage. They don't really get spells, but they have a lot of magical effects that are added into everything, and they can really, really help with the political climate. Their skills are beautiful and everything, and the character models for them are just outstanding. So those got added in. This also means, however, we have a few other things to deal with. I don't think we'll have to deal with any of the Tomb King stuff, but the Druchii are getting their Supreme Sorceresses, they're getting their Witch Hag Riders, and they're getting their Sisters of Pain, I think they're called. Can't check offhand, because I wasn't fully expecting them to be put into an already saved playthrough. But an incredibly tough melee unit, a mobile magic cavalry, essentially, and a Sorceress Lord for the Druchii. It's just a lot of added content, and for what you pay for the Queen and the Crone, just do it. Alariel and Helibron are worth it by themselves. And while you're out there, grab the free Aelithanar DLC, because the guy is badass. In addition to all of that, Creative Assembly brought over the Norska from Total War Warhammer 1, so if you had that DLC in the first one, you can now activate it in the second one for your Mortal Empires campaigns. You get all the Norsemen. This includes the Wintertooth Troll faction, it includes Alfric the Wanderer? Alfric? Big guy with a red beard who has to duel everybody constantly because he was arrogant and boasted to the gods that he could. Anyway, they get a whole bunch of other really cool units and everything, and of course Norska, on our map here, it's not really that poignant, but they're pretty much all up in this area. In the Mortal Empires campaign, they add a ton in, and let's just say a lot of War Mammoths have come at me in the single player, or the Mortal Empires campaigns that I've been playing through. It's been awesome. Not to mention, Creative Assembly released a 30 Years of Warhammer, I believe it is, update to Total War Warhammer and Warhammer 2. This added a bunch of Regiments of Renown. They're basically special upgraded versions of their units. I don't know if we get them in this. No, we don't actually have access to the buttons in the Vortex campaign from what I can see. But in the Mortal Empires campaign, you can hire these special Regiments of Renown as your Legendary Lord levels up. I saw Bretonnians were getting their own Regiments of Renown, went over. I registered for the Total War access. It's free. They link it to your Steam account, all that sort of stuff. You get access to all these extra Regiments of Renown. I saw Bretonnians and jumped at it because, well, Arturic Legend is my thing, and I really like the Bretonnians. But that's pretty much enough yammering on. So while we're preparing to build up and we're waiting for the attack on Yvresse, we're going to send Vincat up to capture this little island here. Hopefully it'll be some additional gold and some other goodies to help us out. Still not sure what the Pirates of Sartosa are going to do. Kind of scary if they got their own special regiments and everything. Though they do get special buildings, I think. Maybe not. I could just be going completely off kilter, which, let's face it, happens. And Sneha, can you actually wound that sorcerer? It's a 50-50 shot. Doesn't appear so. And Fëanor, we were having you go inland and scout towards Falls Anvil. Of course, you're still moving incredibly quick. I haven't been able to solve that. It's not happening in any of my other games, and even trying to hit the button combinations and everything hasn't stopped it. But, you know what? Doesn't matter. I'm kind of used to it at this point. So let's let the other nations go on. And of course, I forgot about our elves out at sea. Erethrond down in the southwest, who's very narrowly escaping the lizardmen. Elair out in the ocean, and Felindre,
What would you have of me?
who just grabbed us a skull island. Banner of the World Dragon. Oh, magic resistance. Definitely doesn't hurt us at all. It is getting a little bit hectic, though. We're getting very, very, very close to the factual end of this playthrough. However, I've been so enthralled by all they've added to the Total War franchise for Warhammer that I'm probably going to do a Mortal Empires campaign after this. I'm pretty much set on it once Light of the Azure comes to either its heroic victory or we get crushed in the final chaotic assault. Whichever happens, we will take that fate for the world. And then we're probably going to go in and do a Mortal Empires campaign. I'm not sure which faction we're going to play. I wouldn't mind playing one of the bad guys. Preferably not Chaos itself, though. Maybe Norska. But the Warriors of Chaos themselves, it's a bit much sometimes. And they're a Horde army, so we can't really build it up. And I would like to have one of the factions that has both male and female avatars, regardless of whether they're lords or just heroes, so that I can keep all you guys involved with proper signifiers. If that makes sense. I usually don't make sense. But we'll see either way. Of course, then we'll have access to all of the regiments of renown and all the other really cool things, and a much more expansive world map. Are the last defenders actually going to finally catch up to Elair? I think... Ooh, Elair, you're going to have to run, buddy. Or Aerothrond. It's Aerothrond. Elair's in the center sea. Why do I keep confusing them? Probably because they're not you guys, so I don't pay as much attention to them as I should. But with that Skull Reef all taken care of, we'll have access to a lot of gold for the next couple of turns. We're probably going to invest it into increasing our economy a little bit because, well, yeah, we are a little bit in the red. And we're going to need more troops. This is kind of a Lord of the Rings, you need more men. There are no more. But unfortunately, we don't have a mountain that's full of ghosts to come to our help. We got lots of mountains, but they're not exactly full of the vengeful ghosts of betrayers and traitors. We kind of kicked them all off our island way long time ago. I'm kind of curious. There is a mechanic that was built in because Crone Hellebron, one of her victory conditions, involves the Shrine of Cain, after a fashion. And that's a really big eagle. It's one graphical anomaly that I've found ever since the Crone and the Queen came out. Sometimes your generals get really big. But, Crone Hellebron, she actually adds to the game via the Shrine of Cain. Now, the Shrine of Cain holds this sword in it. And it's the Widowmaker. It's the Sword of Cain. Big piece of lore. Anarion the Defender, the hero of the elves and whose ritual we're going towards, he went to that island on Indragir, his great, powerful dragon, when the world was entirely invaded by demons. Like, we're talking end of the world sort of stuff, and the lizard men were falling back to their cities, and guys like Krokgar were killing thousands of demons by themselves. Hour of Heroes, before the Vortex was formed. Well, the elves were getting their butts kicked. In a big way. And, well, they were losing. So Anarion cursed himself and his entire bloodline and pulled the Sword of Cain from the Altar of Cain. The Widowmaker gave him the strength to destroy legions of demons, but it burned his soul too. And the last anyone saw of him was him flying back to the Shrine of Cain, and subsequently his body and the body of Indragir on the shore. And it looks like the Mung finally decided to come out and attack Fady. Huh. Well, that happened. So we'll have to deal with that, probably. And Latania finally got Procrastinator. I'm not too worried about that. She's kind of just sitting there protecting everything anyway.
Not a chance.
So we have a lot of trolls. Some veteran trolls. Warhounds, Chariot, some Marauders, and a lot of footmen. Some actually quite veteran footmen, too. However, we've got Fady with a fair amount of soldiers, and then Gron's garrison itself is not insignificant. Note, we have a moon dragon. They may have a troll, or a cave troll, but we have a moon dragon. We couldn't get Chaplain Grimaldus in there, and do they actually have any reinforcements that could engage us? Well, they moved this force up north. They're probably going to go over and try and take Kael'ra. But for our purposes, considering it's all basically attrition territory, you know, we'll come back to that in a minute. Because I'm going to forget otherwise. We've got to get Aerothrond out of the line of fire. Because I will forget. Again. If I even remember where he was to begin with. And there's a couple of skull reefs there. So we're going to have to sail as much as we can away from the lizardmen.
Anchors away.
And up towards these skull reefs. With any luck we can get to that second one before anything happens. Jet across, and there's a third skull reef! Holy crap! There's a lot of gold just sitting out there, and then we can just skip over here and get back to Ulthuan. Aerothrond, we are now in a race against time. We want you to get all of those skull reefs. So Elair, we're going to send to Arnheim. I'm thinking that Malekith might be coming down this way in general, but we're going to try and take Val's Anvil with Felindre. What's its garrison look like? It's not got a big garrison, but with the Witch King sitting right there, wouldn't exactly be easy to take it. So let's get you to come down towards Arnheim. And we can see what we can do with you in a little bit. We might be able to get some troops for you later. So yeah, you're in a place that we don't want to look at just yet, because we're going to fight that battle. We're going to kick the Hmong off of our territory, as it were. And Vinkak's going to grab a white sword. Which, you know what? Since you were the one that went out and collected it, you can be the one that grabs it. We actually have a few extra weapons lying around. We'll give you some Gambler's armor. And a Lore Master's cloak. There we go. As we'll give you a couple of banners and everything to get set up. We are going to need our lords and everything to be pretty spot on for when the last invasion happens.
Going ashore. Sailing on.
Alright, so Senina, we're going to get you to try and knock off that guy, and you gain an additional trait for it. And the last rank of Arcane Unforging. It's awesome. So, I apologize for being a bit scatterbrained. I was not expecting there to be 3 skull reefs there, and it's kind of got me thinking about what we can do. So, the Straits of Lothern are pretty much set, maxed out at what they can do. We are building up a few things, like this is going to give us, the Gates of Lothern itself is going to give us a little bit more income. Avalorn's in the same position, though we don't have the Everqueen's Palace there. Wouldn't really give us too much extra, but it would give us a Great Eagle and a Sun Dragon, but it's not worth losing the White Lions of Shrace. So you know what, we're okay without grabbing her palace. Toranlek and Nagaryth, though, they can definitely be upgraded a little bit. Especially since we have the funds to do it right now. So for the Shrine of Cain, the new building that got, well, invested in, the Abandoned Shrine of Cain used to just be the Shrine of Cain that you would build. And right now, it has the effects of the old one. 5 untainted and a little bit of post-battle loot. However, the Shrine of the Widowmaker, this gives you access to the Sword of Cain now. And gives you far better stats for everything that's going on faction-wide, essentially. Takes 20 turns to build it. It's a rather large time investment. And I don't think we're really going to go on that route, because eventually we're going to go into a Mortal Empires campaign, and that will actually become a big deal later on. But since we have the funds right now, we're going to go in and try to make sure that we have enough funds to start getting rid of a bunch of the bad things that are going to come after us. I am slightly rambling, but let's face it, you guys are pretty much used to it at this point. Alright, so we've got Calidor starting to upgrade. Griffin Gate we don't really need to worry about. not the Eagle Gate either. Tyrannok has the ability to upgrade a couple of things. Do we have the ability to... Oh, we already have the Hollow Charioteers, at least the first rank of it, which kind of makes sense. I should be thinking about that a little bit more clearly, but I'm not. And we are still making money, so in a few turns, as this goes on, we're going to have a lot more income. And we still have some cash. And that was upgrading pretty much all of Ulthuan. Now, Fady, you have a couple of Great Eagles, a couple of Bolt Throwers, pretty much 2, 2, 2, and 2 across the board. We can't get Chaplain Grimaldus over to you in time. And I don't know where that other army went out of Ashrak. So we're going to have to let you fight that out on your own. We cannot lose that ritual site. Otherwise it'll slow us down, and we are close. Very close. But I don't want to slow down towards the final ritual. We only got like 4 more turns. Apologies, it is really dry here right now, so I'm probably going to be drinking water more than usual this episode. As far as our diplomacy goes, though, I don't know if Teclis would join our confederation. I don't even know if we want to do that, even though it would give us access to a couple of ritual sites. It's actually really tempting. I mean, it's a bunch of places we'd have to defend. Teclis has a ton of troops. I think actually what would be a better idea is, can we get... Ooh, we cannot negotiate with the last defenders. So we cannot stop the war with them. Probably because, well, minus 100 relations with them, the Lizardmen, and the Dark Elves. Not surprising. And I guess that means we're at war with Hexoatl too. Again, not the greatest thing in the world, but we're still holding out okay. Of course, my own personal army is pretty much set for the coming of the last Chaos Invasion. How many turns left do we have on Torii of Rest before it starts to lose troops? 3 more turns. Alright, so I guess that's going to take us over to defending. Apparently my map doesn't want to work for me today. Against this Hmong invasion. I don't really have... And he decided just to bail on it. That's a little surprising.
How can I assist you?
Now we could get Chaplain Grimaldus right there. We could probably finish this army off by a combined strike by the 2 of them. That would let us take the Great Arena and Ashrak. And we complete that.
Not a chance.
It's a lot of trolls. I don't really want to weaken these 2 armies that bad, though. I've been trying for the last little bit to build these guys up to take on Naragond. Would it be worth it? A
step too far.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Think about it shortly. Capturing that entire region would definitely not be bad. Malekith didn't move on the last turn, which is a little odd. We can't do anything with Erethrond, Elair. We've already moved up towards Arnheim. And it's prepared to give us more troops. I guess it really comes down to that. I mean, the other armies that we've seen up here have been mostly marauders. So, you know what? I think... Well, what are the defenses on the Great Arena and Ashrak? We don't know. Or they don't have one. Huh. So you used to be able to see the bars of the garrisons pretty much stock standard before. I don't really think it's going to be too easy to deal with, though. We can build some more income up here.
Prince.
We'll pop the chaplain over there to deal with that army. It doesn't have so many trolls.
Your instructions?
And you would have to call in extra troops, but they're 1 turn away. 130. There we go. One extra set of spearmen won't hurt. And now that we know that this army will run from it, that should be fine. So let's let the other nations go into it and see what happens. And I keep forgetting about poor Anna. He's just sitting out there chilling. I am really curious as to what Malekith's going to do. I'm also kind of curious as to what Teclis is getting up to. We do know that Clan Pestilence pretty much owns all those ruined settlements, but they're getting their butts kicked. As to what the Lore Masters are doing, I can't really figure that out either. I'm not really a mind reader. I forgot the Blood Hall was there, so we've moved Erethrond in a very, very difficult position if they decide to attack him. Which would suck, because those 2 skull reefs would be very, very nice to put into our pocket. Though we spent the first round of Skull Reef money on a bunch of financial upgrades. And we do have a couple more turns before the ritual's ready to fire off. And at that point, if we have a little bit of extra funds and can last a little bit while, we'll hire some more troops as the Chaos Invasion is coming in. It'll give us a big bonus to our income so that we can hire more troops. At least that's what it's done with the last few rituals. We'll see how it works out with the final one. But if we complete that last ritual, that will be victory for the Asur. Tali, you are one single-minded, dedicated lizard man. Definitely a Scar hero worth your name. Scar veteran, I should say. Single-minded purpose. They were bred entirely for war, nothing but war. That's the whole reason why the Saurus exist, and the Scar veterans were either single spawnings, especially in the case of the albino white ones that are marked by the old gods, or in the case of their regular regiments, they were designed pretty much just to fight. Only to fight. Do nothing but fight. So him being single-minded and pursuing our fleeing little adopted general across half the known world does make sense. That's the new icon for the Feral Manticores, Meryl Fanticores. I think he might be coming after Erethrond. In which case... Yep. So that is definitely unfortunate, and I think Mom the Doge just... Yeah. Sorry, Mom, you got caught up in the fight beyond ourselves. That said, though, we have a plan B to get those skull reefs. We'll send Elair, another sacrificial general. Sad that I accidentally kept Mom in there, because I totally did not think about the Druchii that were sitting there. So, my bad? Sorta? I'm not going to hear the end of that one. I'm actually really surprised that the Spinozoic dwarves are still around. I've mentioned a couple of times that they usually get wiped out pretty quickly. And it's Clan Pestilence usually that takes them down, but the Ratkin this time have just been failing hard. I'm pretty sure the ones in Lustria just were relying on Clan Moors. Clan Moors, who was out near the last defenders, probably got eaten. They probably went full Jurassic Park style raptors on them, went clever girl, and just ate them. Alright, so life in the lagoon. Oh, we actually haven't had this one before. Courtiers are often expected to spend large stretches of time at court, living and operating under suffocating political intrigue of Lothern. Messengers of the Phoenix King are able to weave through the lodgings of the courtiers, disseminating information that helps or hinders them. Likewise, the king can make life comfortable for certain courtiers, or extremely unpleasant. All at his whim. So, we can sow dissent, which will give us influence, but make the population unhappy. Pay for improved lodgings. leave them be, which will give us growth but cost us some influence, or give us happy populace. I think we're going to go with that option because we're not 1337. We have elite amount of gold.
A promising left.
And Maldus got himself another rank. We were working on Moonmaker. So we're going to continue on that theme. I really feel sorry for anyone who gets in his way. And I have gained a rank. That's surprising. I'm going to grab Feint and Riposte. It's actually a really useful combat skill. If you're playing Tyrion, you definitely need to get it.
Anchors away.
Assuming, of course, that you're going to use your legendary lord in combat a lot.
Lady of the Phoenix Court.
Senina, we're just going to let you sit there and do your thing. However, you there, we're going to get you to go on a bit of a crazy little mad dash. You're going to come in here, go out near Swamp Town, trek through the jungle, pop out here, and try to grab these 2 skull reefs. Hopefully without getting yourself viciously, brutally eaten, or stabbed by Monkai. I think they're still called Monkai. That might be a 40k thing with the Eldar. I could be going totally insane. I'm probably going totally insane. But I'm going to go with it anyway. Though, in the Battlefleet Gothic,
Treading softly.
do you want to call it a strategy game? I guess it's an RTS of sorts. They said monkey and made it sound like monkey, which
What would you have
makes
of me?
a lot more sense. And it looks like Malekith did not move again. What are you doing, Malekith? And I do like the improved tooltips. You can now see what your agents can do by just mousing over a target. And it's really nice, actually. But there's not really anyone in here that's worth the money to go after. We just kind of wanted to scout out.
Standing by.
So Philindre, we're just going to get you to stick near Arnheim,
Preparing camp.
just in case. I mean, his garrison isn't that great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. When we get down, we've got, what, 4 turns left? So, we'll have to deal with that. We do have Xinyan
For action.
sitting in Karen Thel that hasn't been raided recently. Surprising. But we're already making a lot more gold than we were before. And once the last of the few buildings get finished off, we should be fine. That's a really big eagle. It's a graphical anomaly I've seen since the DLC. It's just weird. I mean, that's a great eagle that is bigger than a dragon. And Tor Yvres only has 2 more turns before it surrenders. So pretty much we'll take Yvres, and then we'll be starting the ritual. And I have no idea where the Chaos Forces are going to come from, so we could be in for a surprise. Shrine of Azeran, which we haven't touched at all, and Jeriel's still sitting there pretty much empty. That's a little surprising. Well, we can put a plaza there. Let's see what the other lords are going to do. I think what we'll end up trying to do is we'll start the ritual and then possibly confederate with the Order of Lore Masters. And use them to kind of distract people. Kind of a lousy way to do it. If we were in the Mortal Empires right now, given how strong the Order of Lore Masters is, I would be confederating with them in a heartbeat. All the extra towns and provinces that they have available to them would definitely be good times. I just wish they could have gone this expansive in the I can talk, I swear. Mortal Empires campaign with the map. I can understand why they didn't, because this is just essentially South America and Africa and Hawaiian Islands in North America. It's half the world, essentially, that they've rounded out on this map, but it excludes the entire old world and most of what goes on over there. But it would be really, really cool to see if a modder, or eventually if they release the grand campaign of some sort that has this amount of detail with this many sub-factions like the Blood Hall and all of them, for the full Warhammer map. As it stands, I'm kind of hoping, as in I'm really, really hoping, that we get a Mountains of Morn themed expansion. We've got the Queen and the Crone, which is fine, that's great. They haven't added a new race for the second installation in a while. I want to see the Ogre Kingdoms come out. They did a great job adding the Tomb Kings in, but they didn't have to design a new area for them, so it was pretty easy to slip them into both the Mortal Empires campaign and the Eye of the Vortex campaign. They're Canopic jars and their own little screw-aroundery. Not that hard to implement, and they have added a lot of cool concepts. But I want to see the Ogres come in. It would be amazing to see a unit that has incredibly tough, but very, very, very small numbered soldiers, i.e. the Ogres themselves. Your typical unit of, say, elven spearmen on the tabletop was about 20 plus. So you'd have 20 models, and that would be your standard unit. You get about 6 for an Ogre unit, but each one of them counted for like 3 guys, so about the same, and they were a heck of a lot stronger, and harder to wound, believe it or not. So you'd end up with incredibly tough units versus incredibly numerical units. They're pretty much the diametric opposite of the Skaven. Skaven use a lot of cheap expendable troops with some wacky, funky, out there weaponry. And while the Ogres do use some out there stuff, most notably like they have Yetis and Nobar scrap wagons. Yes, there's actually something beneath a goblin in the whole greenskin hierarchy. They're called Nullbars. They're the tiniest of greenskins, which has got to be a dubious honor at best. So, they build these scrap wagon things, and because it's a green skin mentality thing, scrap wagons work because they think they work. That's the entire logic there. Alright, so we've got Senina, and we did wound that sorcerer, so what can we do on this? Block the army, but he's a pretty tough marauder chieftain. Steal technology. Wow, it was 60 plus turns ago when we tried our hand at taking on Naragond. It was a little intense. Alright, let's not focus on Senina for right now. Elair, I don't even know if you're going to get there in time. We don't have that many turns left before we can start the final ritual. 3 at this point. Which is actually making me a slight bit paranoid. I have no idea what's coming down the pipe for the final invasion. It's a little scary. We do have some powerful generals, but we don't really have the troops to back them up right now. Alright, so Fëanor, not really much you can do right here.
My path is clear.
I guess we don't even need to take Val's Anvil, because we've only got 3 turns left, and they haven't even started their penultimate ritual yet. Do have some islands popping up pretty regularly around Ulthuan, though. I'm really, really hoping that Sarah gets involved in the final fight. So, Rana, do we have room inside Phoenix's army? We do. Let's just drop you in there for the sake of dropping you in there. Then I don't have to worry about you. And we only have 2 turns left. So, we'll have some ward saves for our Phoenix units. Some speed for them. You know, that glow around the Shrine of Cain is now really creeping me out. I can't even imagine what Crone Hellebron would be like in the Vortex campaign. She's a nightmare in the Mortal Empires campaign. Excuse me. Essentially, the faction of Hargoneth, which is here to start, is Crone Hellebron's people, and I was playing as Bretonia, which is way, way, way over here. The crone has come across. She went across the entire top of Ulthuan, destroying every elven village along the way, captured the Shrine of Cain, then popped over to Lioness and started basically breaking stuff with a very, very large army stack at like turn 34. So she's a bit of a psycho. Granted, it's what you'd expect for someone who's dedicated to Cain like that.
Give the word.
So, Felindre, you know what? We're not going to need to take Val's Anvil. Let's see if we can slip you back to Ulthuan without getting you killed. I'm hoping we can. But you never know. Can't really upgrade that right now, so we'll pass it by and let the lore masters and all the other nations take their shot at whatever they're doing. Is Teclis taking on Chotek? And it looks like the last defenders have just tried to awaken another mage priest. The Rite of Awakening kind of pokes one of the froggy guys and, hey dude, you kind of passed out. You want to wake up? Because the Slann basically go into an ageless sleep. Not entirely ageless, but mostly. Where they can commune with the others of their kind all around the world. Why would we want... You know what? It's actually going to serve us better right now to be at peace with Karankar. We don't have anyone that we have to politically worry about. Kothik's Kothik. They're pretty much our buddies at this point. The Order of Lore Masters are at a confederation point with us. And because of the ritual, we've got a lot more influence with our own people. So we don't need to worry about that too much. This may just turn into us trying to maintain everything and get set up for the final battle. Maybe I should have killed all those marauders. Would have at least had a fight this time. And we did lose Erethrond out at sea. Only sad part about that is losing Mom the Doge. I'm sorry, Mom. Don't hate me for it. I was a bit of a goof. We don't really have to worry about too much else. But with only a couple of more turns to go, don't really know how it's going to work out. Things were going to get really, really hectic come the final ritual, so... I mean, it's named after Naragond the Defender. The guy who took the Sword of Cain. It's a little bit out there. In reality, what I should do is completely abandon the Northwest. Pull both Chaplain Grimaldus and Fadilace back to Ulthuan as quickly as possible. To try and get ready for the final assault. We're pretty set on our coinage right now.
Their skill is legend.
Not really having to worry about too much else. I think that's might be actually what we do, is just pull our people back.
Can I offer assistance?
So if we get into the water, into the sea, it would mean cutting across this way, and then getting back to the Salvation Isles. It's a few turns. We probably should have started this earlier. Or we can try and risk going out near Hargoneth. It's It's already a stretch just to get our people moving. And it's going to mean abandoning 3 full settlements that are worth a lot of gold. We can afford to lose the gold now. But the real question becomes, do we want to? We're probably going to need these generals back on Ulthuan to fight off that final invasion. We've only got 2 turns before we have to start the ritual anyway. It's kind of a tough call.
Lord of the Phoenix Court.
Well, Chaplain is pretty much our best general, and given what's coming, we're probably going to need him back. So we're going to abandon all of our conquests.
Orders.
The only real question is, we have to keep them close enough so that both of our generals can support one another. And they're going to take a little bit of attrition damage as we leave.
Highborn.
So if we put you into a march stance and run here,
I offer assistance.
Lethal grace.
the chaplain can run there. Now you're in proximity to one another, and next turn you'll be out on the ocean and you'll be sailing hard to get back, though the ritual will have already started by the time you reach
Defend
Ulthuan.
not the Phoenix throne.
So Vincat, we're going to grab you a couple more units of spearmen, and a couple more units of archers. Should cover you there. And Senina,
The wind.
we're going to get you to jump into one of these armies to try and get you back. It'll be just a quick little jump next turn.
Spellcaster.
Finior, you two are going to start getting back to Ulthuan.
What would you have of me?
You know it's bad when we're calling back pretty much all of our generals. Except for the one that we have deemed to be sacrificial
Sailing away.
to go and try and get some skull reefs. He's pretty much out of it for the rest of the campaign. But given where that leaves us, guys, very start of next episode, we will take on Tory of Rest after we let it sit for 1 turn and suffer some attrition. And then we'll be into the final ritual. We'll be coming down to the last 1, possibly 2 episodes of the entire series. So our victory or our defeats and the fate of the Great Vortex will pretty much hinge on what happens in the next couple of weeks. But if you liked the video, guys, please consider hitting that like button. If you'd like to join up with the 232, possibly see your name pop up in one of the Let's Plays, or just be part of our community, just hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit your notifications on so you don't miss when a new video comes out. But remember, guys, life is a game, so play to win. And until next time, take care.